Tell me about the situation that Alex finds himself in today and what that means for the finish.
Well, he's 24 to 30 hours from finishing the Vendée Globe, so and he's in tight second, so 37 miles behind Armel is a huge achievement for him coming up the Atlantic from where he was at Cape Horn, 800 miles, and he's got to finish this race well, and he's looking forward to getting off the boat. We've had some technical problems. We had some masthead electronics issues right from the Southern Ocean, literally as he went around the Horn, and we set up a deck set of wind instrumentation, which has been working reasonably well. Not perfect, as these things are never, but it's been working reasonably well. But in the last 12 hours, he's lost his anemometer. I was actually on the phone to him when the boat went into a bit of a luff, and he said, "Oh, I think my anemometer's broken." So he's not able to sail on true wind angle on his autopilot, which clearly is a problem because you're sailing on magnetic compass on your autopilot, which isn't ideal. So that's a problem, particularly going upwind, as he's got to do now all the way to the finish. So he's trying to fix it, but he's just exhausted now. I think when you get to the end of this race and he's pushed as hard as he has to regain the miles, he's pretty spent, and he just needs to finish this race. He'll fight to the end. Once we fix his anemometer and he gets an hour's sleep, Alex will be back fighting to try and win this race. Of course he will be, but right now, whilst he's fixing it, he just wants to fix it and get his head down.
It was a little bit hard to make him out on that phone call earlier on, but did I get this right? He was more or less saying, "Look, I just want to finish."
I think when you get to this point, he just wants to finish now. I think he's dead tired. They all are. They've gone into the cold wind now, and they're freezing cold, and he's got an electronic problem, which is just annoying. And I think he just wants to make his tack, and he just wants to finish. The reality is we will fix it, as we always do, as he always does. He'll get an hour's sleep, and he'll be going into the tack tonight, and he'll be pushing all the way to the finish line. He always does. You couldn't tell Alex to sail more, slowly. He will always push the boat to its maximum. That's the way he's built and the way he sails. So, he's not backing off, but he is very tired.
There's a perception that if Alex hadn't broken his starboard foil, he would be well ahead at this stage. Is that something that you would agree with?
Yeah, I think so. I believe that if he hadn't broken his starboard foil and he was able to sail in all those port conditions in the Southern Ocean, that Alex would be tied up in the dock right now. I think that would be reasonable thing to say. You never know, right? You just never know. So we can't really say anything with certainty. But particularly in the Southern Ocean, when the wind's from the south and you're on starboard, it looks like you can foil, but you really can't, because the wind's quite unstable as it comes up from the south, because you're on the back end of a pressure system. It's quite hard to foil. Whereas when you're on port in the Southern Ocean and the wind's from the north, the conditions are better for foiling. So I do believe that if that foil hadn't broken, Alex would won this race.
It looks to me from the outside as if the foils that Alex is using are faster and more consistently quick than the Dally foils that some of the other boats have. Would you agree with that?
Yes, we've been saying that for quite a long time now, and our position hasn't changed. We think we worked harder, we spent more time, we spent more money, we brought the best brains in the business together to try and develop foils for this boat, and we've always thought that they were a better package, and I think the New York to Vendée race showed us that they were rapid, and particularly the start of this race, Alex was in 12th or something after the first night, and pretty quickly got back into first, made a little tactical error going into the Portuguese coast, but quite quickly got back up and back into first, and I think that is down to our boat's ability to foil at VMG and in reaching conditions, and in moderate wind conditions, and I think that's what we always tried to achieve. So yeah, I think that's definitely the case.
Alex is a very warm and quite humble person. Maybe people didn't get that before, but it's been pretty obvious to see on this race.
Yeah, and I think that's been great. I've been really proud of that. We have, we're an international team, and we've come to try and win the Vendée Globe. and we'll continue to do that. But with the sponsors and everything that we bring, and the fashion and Hugo Boss and everything, it's always been this kind of bit standoffish. And the reality is that Alex is an extremely earthy guy who wears his heart in his sleeve and wants to communicate the amazing journey that he goes through, and that's what the sport needs, that's what our sponsors need, and that's the truth. This is not a put on scripted communication process. Alex says whatever he wants to say on the cameras, and we enjoy it just as much as you guys do.
Would you be back in 2020, do you think?
Yeah, I think we'll wrap this race up before we talk about the what we do next. But our company was set up to go and win the Vendée Globe and to put competitive boats on the start line, and I don't think we're going to change that strategy. We get asked a lot whether Alex is going to follow the other French sailors into a multi-hull or hull team. I don't really see that in our crystal ball. Today we want to get Alex across the finish line, and we continue to believe that he could win this race. And after that, when the dust settles, I think we'll sit down and we'll think about how we can come back and win this race in 2020. That is our mission, and that's always been our objective. So until we've completed that, job's not over.